There is a proverb in Swedish that even the sun has spots. In chess, even a world chess champion can make blunders. Welcome to the 12th game of the World Chess Championship match between Ding Liren of China and Jan Nepomniachtchi from Russia. After 11 games, the score reads 6-5 in favor of Jan. So Ding with white will be desperately to equalize the score. He started with d4. After knight f6, knight f3, d5, we have the first important moment of the game. White played e3, which is the Colle system. Well, the Colle system has a very modest reputation, and clearly Ding wants to take his opponent out of home preparation and wants to play simple chess and gradually develop his attack. Black played c5 and white went knight bd2. In this particular opening system, white has two main ways of activating his c1 bishop. As you can see, the bishop is blocked by his own pawns. So white will aim to play either c3, which is the traditional way of playing this Colle system, with the aim of playing b4. First he will take dc and then he will play b4 and place his bishop on b2. This is a sort of reversed semi-Slav defense plans. So semi-Slav is considered to be one of the very good counter-attacking defensive systems by black. So here white is trying to mirror the ideas of black with an extra move. Or white can sometimes play b3 with the idea of directly bringing out his bishop. And that will be coordinated with the another bishop on d3. So the bishop on b2 can aim dangerously on black's king side. So this is white's main idea in the Colle system. And this particular idea is called the Zuckertort variation of Colle system. Well, Zuckertort was, incidentally, he was the challenger of the first Fide World Chess Championship match, which was held between Steinitz and Zuckertort. So this particular line is named after him. And it is irony that after almost 150 years in the World Championship final, his opening is employed by Ding. So here black cuts across white's plans. He played cd4 right away. He says, okay, I don't want your bishop to be get to this diagonal. So I'm blocking that diagonal, and I'm happy if your bishop is open on c1 h6 diagonal. So he takes this pawn and played queen c7 at once. White played c3. So we have an idea where in future, in this imbalanced situation, black will try minority attack. We have already seen this particular pawn structure twice in this match, in the third game and in the sixth game. In the third game, we have the opening from Queen's Gambit declined. I'll just show you a few opening moves, and then we shall see the similarity between this and that position. Here, white played bishop g5, and this was the opening structure. And here we have this structure. So just compare this and this. Well, it seems the pawn structure which black has in this game, in third game, is the same pawn structure which white has in this game. And in that game, I had clearly explained the plans which either side can use in this type of position. Here, one of black's plans is to make use of his half-open c file by attacking on the queen side by advancing his pawns. So this is called the minority attack. And white will be trying to make use of his outpost on e5 and the half-open e file to attack on the king side. So that is how the imbalance is at this point of the game, black played bishop d7. Now, this looks slightly odd. The bishop usually belongs to g4 and f5. But I think Nepo was influenced by this move was influenced by his loss in the 6th game, which was from the London system, where both sides had same pawn structure, and white had played bishop b5 after black's knight c6. So in this game, probably black wants to avoid white's bishop b5 ideas. He played bd7, white continued bd3, black played knight c6, white castle, so both the players are developing, and now black played bishop to g4. Before advancing his pawn in order to develop this bishop, he first activated his bishop. So one can question the decision of black to go bd7 and then bg4. Well, white played rook e1, e6, and now in a typical Queen's Gambit exchange variation manner, white played knight f1. Well, this knight gives additional support to the h2 pawn, because now black can basically capture this or and attack h2, but here the knight on f1 is defending h2. And apart from that, the knight has ideas of emerging from g3 and controlling lots of squares on the king side. As I said, in this type of position, white would generally try to attack on the king side and utilize the e5 outpost for his knight. So here white played bishop g5, and black played another very interesting move. This is a critical decision which black took. He castled, allowing white to damage the pawn structure in front of his own king. Now, white would have access to these squares h5 and h6 because black no more has the g7 pawn to defend. So that is why the double pawns is weak, and especially the king is weak because of this double pawn. But as I have marked in red, black also has got counterplay with his rook on the g file. So this position is very interesting. Black takes a conscious decision to weaken his own king in order to attack white. So anyway, white took bishop f6, gf6, and then white continued knight g3. And here black could have played king h8 in order to play rook g8. It should be noted that white has to be careful and not play h3 at this point, because black could then sacrifice his bishop on h3 with the idea that the g3 point is left weak. He can capture g3, and in this position black's king is dangerously close to white's king, and with some pieces hanging, black has also ideas based on rook g8. So this position is really good for black. So therefore, after king h8, white could play move like, say, king h1, first improving his defense, and then maybe trying to exploit the weakness of black's king. But anyway, king h8 was a very good option. Black instead went for f5 right away. Here white played h3. Note that the move knight g3 has basically prevented black from going back. So black took bishop f3, white captured queen f3. Here it's black to play. Black could have gone king h8, but first he played a very useful move, that is knight e7, with the aim of transferring his knight to the king side, putting his rook on g8 and attacking against white's king on g1. White played knight h5. He wants to get to the weak square. Black played king h8. And around this moment, white took a very risky and controversial decision. He should have, well, he could have once again strengthened his defense and then later tried to make use of the weakened pawn structure. Instead, he went for direct attack, g4, not caring about his own king. He's trying to open this diagonal for his bishop. He's attacking this pawn, but he leaves this h4 square weakened. So this is a very risky move, and this was criticized by lots of commentators. Black played rook g8, pinning the pawn. White went king g1, unpinning the pawn, and black played knight g6 with the aim of improving the knight position, exploiting the weakened h4 square. Had the pawn been here, white could have played g3. But with the pawn on g4, the h4 square is weakened, and now black is making use of that. White doesn't have a clue of what to do now. He cannot take this because then black will have the knight on h4. He will take back this pawn, and his pieces will be very active in front of black's king. So, well, knight h4 would attack the queen and also attack the f5 pawn. So here, white, sorry, after knight g6, white played bishop to c2. Probably he would like to place his queen on d3. He vacates that square for his queen. Anticipating that black will play knight h4, he played queen to e3 first. Well, perhaps planning queen h6. Black played rook g6. White played rook g1, defending on the king side. And now black took a very brave decision to advance his pawn. So he wants to move with the queen away from this square so that the knight could move in to f3. The queen has to somehow protect the f3 square, so he went queen d3. The move f4 is brave because it opens the diagonal. But it has the virtue that now the ideas of taking gf5 is ruled off forever. So the move f4 basically rules out opening the file for white and also attacks the queen. The queen goes to d3, of course, keeping an eye on f3 square. Here white went rook a, black went queen e7. So this has an interesting idea. It prevents knight f6 by white. A knight f6, I mean, if black played something like this, white would have the option of playing knight f6 based on the fact that the rook is pinned. White can checkmate on h7. So black first played queen e7. He protects the f6 square. And after white centralizes his rook, black played to queen g5, basically stopping g5 ideas. Here, white has no active way to play. The queen is tied down to defense of f3 square. The rooks do not have any open files, and black has ideas like rook g8, f5 to improve his position. Well, basically here white is in a must-win situation. He has to make a comeback, and even if the game is drawn, black doesn't lose anything. Here, if white tries to exploit the lack of queenside pieces of black by attacking this pawn, black could simply move in knight f3, forking both the rooks. And we always have to keep this in mind that whenever white takes bg6, black will recover hg6. This knight is trapped. So black will not only get one piece for a rook, but he will get two pieces for a rook. And a move like queen b7 can be thwarted by simple rook b8. Now, black will win one of these pawns. He will win the knight, and he will have a winning position. So queen b5 was not a good move for white. he played the move c4 instead. c4 is a pawn sacrifice because when black captured, white cannot take back. As we have seen, the queen has to guard the f3 square. The knight can move to f3 once again, winning an exchange. So here black took on c4 and white went queen c3. Black went b5. So black is a pawn up. He's defending this pawn. See, one of the ideas which white can have is d5 check. The queen indirectly is on the same diagonal of the king. So he can play discover check. But it's not so effective here because black can simply block the diagonal by pushing his pawn. So white has this idea in mind, but maybe at a more favorable moment, he will play d5. So here, after b5, white went desperately. He's a pawn down. He went a4. And this position is clearly good for black. Well, white could have taken bg6, but as we have seen, at g6, the knight is trapped. So black will get one more piece for a rook. He will get two pieces for a rook. White played a4. And the simplest move for black at this point was a6. Black is a pawn up. White's king is more exposed than black's king. And his pieces are well placed. He has an absolutely winning position. But black played b4. This is an impulsive move. And with only 4 minutes thought, he played b4. Well, asking the king to come to c4. We have seen the queen has to remain for the defense of f3 square. But after queen c4, we have a different equation. Now directly knight f3 is not good because we can play queen c6 attacking the f3 knight as well as a8 rook. In the previous positions, the pawn was on b7. So this option was not there for white. But that is why now queen c4 is possible. And black moved his rook first, preparing knight f3. At this point, white played queen c6, defending against knight f3. So black had given back the extra pawn which he had. We have equal material. White is attacking the bishop and also defending. Well, the decision of playing b4 was questionable because white got counterplay after queen c4. But even here, black can win if he plays accurately, but he has to play the only move to win. That is, well, before revealing the move, if any of the viewers want to improve their powers of calculation and imagination, they may pause the video here and guess black's next move. Black should have played knight to f5 in this position. The idea is the knight defends the bishop, it attacks d4 in some variations, and most importantly, it vacates the h4 square for the queen. This is a fantastic resource because, well, if white takes the knight, black will also take this knight and threaten checkmate in one move. Now the rooks and queens are very dangerous and black is winning. And of course, if white plays bishop f5 with the idea of taking on d6, black could first play queen h4, threatening checkmate, and white doesn't have any satisfactory defense. If he retreats with his queen, then of course the bishop is attacked no more and we can take this pawn. And if the king comes up, then the g pawn is pinned and we can take these two pieces with our queen. Or maybe we can simply take with the pawn, supporting this and perhaps attacking this and g4 as well. So the move knight f5 was a winning move for black, which he missed over here. And he played bishop b8, with only 1 minute thought. Nepo had more than half an hour on his clock to think in this crucial position, and a correct move would have made him virtually the world champion had he found knight f5. But strangely, he kept on playing fast and he kept on blundering. He played bishop b8. And white also had a very great move in this position, which he missed. So once again, the students of chess who have the intention of improving may pause the video and guess white's next move. White played queen b7, which is decent but not the best move. He could have played bishop g6, winning at once. Well, bishop g6 is obvious move, winning the exchange. But as we have seen, edge g6 also attacks the knight and the knight is trapped. It seems black is winning, but white has the resource d5, with the idea that if the queen moves away from g5 square and it takes this, white's knight will have access to f6 square. After take knight f6, white is an exchange up and winning. And if black takes on gh5, which is the more critical move, white will take de6, and this pawn is very dangerous, and white's rook is also quite dangerous. So this will enter the game with mating attack. Here I would like to show you two variations to demonstrate how white can win from here. One of them is he can play queen e7, defending with his queen, but then white will take ef7, queen f7, queen h6 check, forcing the queen to go to h7, and then playing queen f6 check, picking up the knight on h4 with a winning position. The other defense for black is queen f6, pinning this pawn. But now white has queen d7 with the idea of maybe taking or pushing. Black takes this, white would capture, black's queen would go here. And the reason why I wanted to show you this position is we have a very spectacular position after this. Black is in virtual zugzwang position where he cannot move a single piece. It's easy to see the king cannot move. This bishop has no square because if it moves to d6, white will win this bishop by playing rook a6, attacking the queen and the bishop. The knight has no square to move. The only pieces, the rook and the queen. If the queen moves to g5, for instance, white will have queen g4 check, forcing rook g7, and then we have rook e8 check, picking up the b8 bishop. And if black moves rook g7 at this point, then of course white can play rook g7, queen d8 check, attacking the bishop, the knight, and of course the king. So that was a winning, very unique position which I wanted to share with you. Black has no move, piece move, and he's in a perfectly zugzwang position. Instead of playing bishop g6, which would have won for white, he went queen b7. And again, black had the chance to play the brilliant move knight f5, vacating this square for the queen. Well, if gf5, queen h5 is winning, if white takes queen b4 pawn, black could play queen g4. And if white supports the pawn with his queen, then black has the combination of interference by playing knight e3. The rank is blocked, and now black is threatening checkmate with queen h3. So here, after queen b7, black had the brilliant idea, knight f5 once again. He missed it, and he played rook h6. And even this move was played with only 1 minute thought. So black kept on playing fast, kept on playing quickly, and kept on missing the winning moves which would have made him the world champion. White played bishop e4, which defends all the critical squares. Now he wants to be very safe on the king side. Black defended the f7 pawn with his queen. He played rook f8, and now white captured the b4 pawn, attacking the rook. Black's queen went back, defending the rook. Now black is a pawn down. He was a pawn up a few moves back, and he missed several winning chances, and now he's defending a pawn down game. White queen went here. Black played knight g6. At last, he's bringing his knight to play because he has realized he has no attacking chances anymore. Sorry, yeah. After this, white went bishop g2, playing very solidly. He's a pawn up. He's defending on the king side. Black went queen h4. I think by moving back and forth, black is wasting time. He could have simply, changed his mindset, and he could have tried for a more solid continuations, hoping for a draw, because he still has opposite square bishop to defend. So that gives him some defensive chances, although he's a pawn down, and some chances of counterattack if white strays. Instead, he played queen h4, and even this was played after only 1 minute thought. And after rook e2, black simply broke down. He had a nervous breakdown. He played f5. I mean, this is a move which is inexplicable. It not only blunders this pawn, but for all this time, for example, after a move like, say, bishop d6, had white played d5, black always had this defense. But after blundering this pawn, white has the deadly threat of d6, d5, and queen g7 checkmate. So it is not only a pawn down, losing a second pawn, but it is getting checkmated. Of course, here Nepo realized he had blundered, and he took 16 minutes time after making several blunders. Having realized he had a lost position, he played rook h5, he gave away his exchange, and he played queen h5. White played d5 check, the king moved here, and white played d6, exchange up, pawns up, passed pawns, and blocking the bishop. It's too much for black. Black decided to resign, and the match stands level at 6 game age after 12 rounds. So we have an exciting, nail-biting finish. But what remains to be seen is just the next day we have a return match. Here Nepo would be white, and can he make a comeback after blundering so many times in this game? Surely it must be a shocker for Nepo. So what remains to be seen is, can Nepo make a comeback after these blunders? So we will meet again after the next game. Thanks for watching this video. Goodbye.